There's loads of great stuff in this episode, but listen, before we get going, I would love it if you could subscribe, but as well as that, just hit the notification bell as well, because as soon as there's a new episode or something fresh from all of us, you will get it first. But for now, grab a pen and paper, because I think you might need to make some notes on this episode. It's full of brilliant takeaways. Enjoy. Here we go. Welcome to the High Performance Podcast. Josh Warrington, nice to have you with us.
Very well done there, Jake. You've done this before, haven't you?
A couple of times. Right, come on then.
Honour to be here.
What is high performance?
It's a big question. It's a big question in what field, you know, in daily life, in sport, in your relationships. You know, it can apply and mean many, many different things. So, you know, you want to delve further?
Let's delve. Let's go. All right, let's start. What's high performance? Because everyone will expect this to be about boxing and about fighting. What's high performance in your personal life?
High performance is being a good dad, being a good husband, providing for my family, being a good brother to my special needs brother, to my autistic sister, to my other brother who missed out his childhood. Maybe they had to sacrifice time with my dad when we were growing up, because my dad, you know, trained me as a young man. Being a role model, as you know, being given that title in the public eye now. I have people spending their hard-earned money coming to watch me perform under the bright lights in the ring, whatever. Being inspiring to the next generation, and try to leave a legacy behind. You know, those things and priorities have changed a lot over the years, but family has normally always been number one, and will probably continue to be so.
And how important has it been for you to have a dad who sacrificed so much to get you to be the fighter you are, but also to have family members who have special needs, so that you have that daily reminder how lucky you have been? I wonder to what extent your family is your inspiration.
It's massive inspiration. I mean, I've always had, I won't blow smoke up my own backside, but I think I've always had a wise head on young shoulders. So I've always looked at life a little bit differently. When I was a young man, I used to spend a lot of time with my dad. He was like my best mate, you know. It wasn't like a father and son. We were more or less pals. Used to socialise a lot with him and his pals, so I'd be amongst like an older mentality, and just you get to see you know, the sacrifices when you look at other families and how they're going about their business, and then you sit home at night and you realise, well, I'm spending so much time with Dad, but Marks and Thomas aren't. You know, they're not spending as much time with him. And as you get older and you look back on that, you think, as I go forward in life, I've got to make sure that was all worth it, because there's one thing that you can't be given back, and that's time. You know, money comes and goes, material possession comes and goes, and really not that important, but you can't give time back. So in a way, use that as motivation, especially throughout my pro career. I'm oldest out my brothers and my sister, and later down the line, I look at it and think maybe my brother might need help down the line in a helping hand in getting a job or getting a house or whatever. So might my sister. So I want to build an empire. Obviously, I've got my immediate family, I've got my wife, I've got my kids, but I don't just feel like that's us and we'll close the door. I've always been a family man and I've always been close to my family. So, you know, I feel responsibility in that sense, and that is used in a motivation. I don't just solely rely on that, but it's added to the motivation when, you know, you're in the changing rooms hours before the fight and you're thinking, why do I do this? Why am I not going to lose it tonight in the ring? And it can be a very powerful tool, mate.
So one of our key phrases then, Josh, is we talk about this roots that give you wings to fly, and it sounds that your family gave you some pretty powerful roots in which you can still draw on today. What would you say were the most important things that when you describe that family and that legacy that you have to them, what is it that they did give you that have afforded you to go on and be so successful?
I think from a young lad, obviously, like I say, things have, over the years, things have changed, and as you get older, you look back. And but in certain periods in my life, like as a kid growing up in Leeds on, you know, a council estate, it's easy to it's easy to fall into what everyone else is doing. So what everyone else were doing on our estate were nicking cars, sniffing glue, smoking, whatever, drinking on a Friday night. And why do you not want to do that? Everyone else is doing it. It's the in thing. Why do you want to spend your time 3 times a week going to a boxing gym? Well, why don't you go play football with everyone else? As much as I would like to have played football, I just didn't have the talent. Walked into a boxing gym and, played at it. Just an energetic kid.
How old were you when you first went in?
7 years old.
Right.
Energetic kid, grew up in the 90s watching like WWF. So watching people put steel chairs over their head, that were amazing to me. And now we just always play fighting with my brothers. But my dad was like, right, we need to take that energy out of you. So I went into a boxing gym. But just like anything as a kid, you go through fads and that. And my old fella used to turn around and say to me, listen, don't waste time. You're wasting my time for me taking you to the gym. He said, you're wasting the people who are looking after you in the gym. You're wasting their time. He said, if you're going to do it, don't do it. If you want to go and play with your mates, well, fucking go play with your mates. Can't come downstairs and say to me, Dad, I want to go to the gym tonight, and then not want to go 2 days later. He said, you either do it or you don't do it. You're wasting everyone's time, and you're wasting your own time, most importantly. And it instantly hit home with that. It didn't take much for me to, have to be told again.
Yep.
That was it. If I was going to be a boxer, then I was going to be a boxer. So from, I think he said that about 8 years old, and I've been playing for about 2 years, but that was it. I was dedicated to it then, Wow. When I was getting into a teenage lad, hanging about with my mates, yeah, they'd be having a drink and going to house parties on Friday night. But instead of me having a drink, I'd take a bottle of water with me. I'd take a bottle of Lucozade. Instead of getting the bus home, bus 3 miles home, I'd jog home instead. And that was just my mentality. I didn't want to be wasting anyone else's time. I'd already seen that my brothers had sacrificed quite a lot.
Yep.
I'd already seen that my dad coming home from work, then taking me to the gym. So it wasn't as though I would try to do it to him, impress him as such, but I wanted to kind of thank him for the time already, and obviously use that as an inspiration later down the line.
I remember I was fortunate to write a book a few years ago about Marvin Hagler, and I remember a quote that he'd spoken about boxers. Their motivation is one of 3 types. He talks about desperation, that you do it to escape something.
Yep.
Rationalisation, because it's where your best talents are best served. And then the third one, and he said this was the most powerful one, was inspiration.
Yeah.
The guys that have just found this place and they do it because they'd rather do that than anything else on earth.
Yeah.
So what was your inspiration beyond making the most of the time and the messages your dad had given you? What was it that boxing gave you?
I was about 3 foot until I was about 15. I'm still waiting to grow now. Still waiting to fucking get hairs on my knackers. But it was just one of them things where I grew up in an estate where, if you had an older brother who would cock on the estate, then you were all right. Everyone fucking looked after you and that. I didn't have older brothers. Like I say, I'm oldest out of lot. If you had a mum who'd spoil you, had best trainers on and the best tracksuit on, then you got treated a little bit differently. If you were going to chip in with your mates and go get a 10 bag, then you're part of that circle. I didn't do none of them things, but I still hung around that circle. Why? I don't know. It's just, I think the learning curves as a kid, it's your estate, so you hung about with people on there. But later down the line, I guess I wanted to be better than that. I used to listen, like I said to you earlier, I had a wise head on young shoulders from fighting. I had my first fight week after my 11th birthday. And these fights used to take parts in working men's clubs up and down the country. You'll know yourself, in the amateur days. And, I get out of the ring a lot of time, just want to fight, go pick up my trophy, be chuffed to bits with that, I always liked, I tried hard at school, and I liked success, I liked to win. I don't know if that's inbuilt or if that's come later down the line, I don't know, but I've always liked that winning feeling. And I'd get out of the ring, chuffed to bits with my trophy, and I'd be walking past folk, and I'd hear it up and down the country. Hey, young'un, come here, young'un. Wherever I want, whether it's up in Newcastle, over in Manchester, Bradford, wherever it is. Young'un, come here. Someone would always pull me over. Hey, tell you what, you keep going. You've got something there. You've got something there. Some of my dad's pals used to say the same, hey, keep on with your boxing, don't get distracted with all this and this. Don't want to end up where I am. I used to look at these blokes and think, well, you present yourself well, you've got a car out. What's wrong with being you? But I think you slowly realise that time flies by very quickly, and a lot of people who were saying to me, stick at it. They once had a promising career in football, in sport or whatever. They were once a fresh-faced teenager without getting into drink and drugs or whatever, and all of a sudden, bam, 10 years have gone by, they're knocking on door to 30, they're still living at home in the mum and dad's back bedroom, they ain't got a pot to piss in, and they're like, where's it all gone? Yep. It were cool to be out off his head like a few years ago. All of a sudden everyone's knuckling down, everyone's got wives, everyone's got mortgages. What am I doing? And I've kind of taken that mentality of like, bloody hell, it was going to go quickly. So I didn't want to end up like every other lad off the estate where no one comes from this estate and does anything. With boxing, it gives you that thing where you're in control of what you do. And again, I took that mentality from a young age. I remember watching one lad in a championship fight, and he did fuck all for 3 rounds, and he got out and he cried his eyes out, and his mum and dad was screaming, robbery, he should have won that fight. But he didn't do anything.
Yep.
He didn't. It was 3 rounds and he hardly threw a punch. And I watched in that fight, why is everyone carrying on round here when it's in his own destiny right there? If he wants to win the fight, throw the punches. So like for my mentality is I'm in there and there's another man in there, that's it. It's not like I'm relying on 10 other people alongside me. It's me and it's him. So just throw the punches. And
see, that's what fascinates me about your answers, though, on this, Josh, if you don't mind me interrupting,
no,
is
go on.
that your relationship with time seems really interesting. That it's almost like you're racing against time to fill the time as much as you can, whether this is with setting a good example, looking after your brothers and your own children, or whether you're in a title fight. How do you fill that 12 rounds now in the most productive way possible?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's numbers. As a young kid, I had bad OCD. My mind would fucking wonder and ask crazy questions to myself. Like, what? Listen, 6, 7 years old, I used to wake up and go downstairs. Dad, why are we here?
Right. And what answer did you get?
What do you mean, lad? What are you asking me questions like? You've got school in the morning. I go back, but fucking what happens to us when we die? Where do we go? You know what I mean? And obviously, teachers will tell you it's religion, you go up to heaven and blah, blah, blah. But they fucking don't know the answers. It's a scary question, isn't it? For a young kid to come asking them kind of questions. How did it get made? Oh, you learn about it in science further down the years, but I don't know, mate. I've always been a bit of a deep thinker.
You're obsessing then at a young age about things that are totally out of your control.
100%, yeah.
And suddenly you find something where you are absolutely in control.
Exactly.
Then you realise, hold on a minute, if I put the effort in, if I give this my all, then I can be successful. And that feels to me like that was maybe a revelation for you, that this was, for the first time in your life, something totally in your hands.
Yeah, most definitely. And for a while, it were my outlay. When I was in control of that. It wasn't like nobody could say to me, you're not playing today because you're not good enough, or you weren't good enough in training the other day, so you dropped. Listen, it's whatever you do in your training session, it don't matter, because it unlike me. It's you walk into the ring. And when I grew up in Leeds, and especially in my school, they wanted me the boxer. So it was quite unique, and I didn't mind that. I liked having that unique talent. I didn't want to be just everybody else.
I think you liked being special. You liked being the guy at the party holding the water, and everyone going, "Why is he holding water?" Well, he's a boxer, didn't you know?
Yeah.
And it just sort of put you on a pedestal that maybe you thrived on, that you still thrive on now.
Maybe so. Maybe I think you're right, to be honest with you, Jake. Maybe I didn't get it in other fields, so I looked for it in other ways, shapes and forms, and that were my get out to be different, just not being the same as everyone else. I want I want the tallest, I want the best looking, even though I'm not a bad looking fella. I know what I mean. I didn't have like a lot of brothers who were cock on the state and that. So that was my little thing there. That was my unique person. But like at 16. I'm in that predicament of academically, when I first started school, I was on with A level, A stars, this and other. By year 9, year 10, getting into GCSEs, everyone's starting to knuckle down. My head's on boxing. I'm just obsessed with it. Boxing. Going for 5 mile runs every night. I'm constantly in the gym, always thinking about the the next opponent, the next thing. My dad saying little things like, you need to go out, get that next run done. You know, do what your other man's not doing. Then I'd be visualising. You know, I've visualised from a young age. And then I've finished school, I've got 11A to C GCSEs, but I don't fucking know what I want to do. You know, everyone's had their 2-year plan, they know what to do. They want to go to college, they want to do this, one, another. And I'm like, I've just hit a bit of a rut then. You know, I've kind of been doing this so much, and all of a sudden it stops. You're in school and it's just what you do, and then bang, it stops. What do I do now? So I remember someone coming in from the Marines talking about, yeah, sign up to Marines and we'll guide your path, we'll guide your life, this and other. I don't mind doing exercise, and you can box in Marines, and that appeals to me there. My old fella said to me, listen, he said, you know what, I know you're thinking about being a pro, it's a long time away, you know, a couple of years, you've got to be 18 in Britain to become a professional fighter. He said, it might seem a long way now, but he said, just wait, be patient, give it a go. He said, if it don't work out for you, you can always go, you know, go in the forces later down the line, be an officer or whatever. But I think you might have something there to do to move forward with the boxing. So just give it a go, Josh. And you know, for a what seemed like a bit of a lifetime, I seemed to scratch my head every night, every time I went to bed, thinking about, you know, as a 16-year-old lad, it's life-changing decisions. Do you sign up for this life, doing this and over, or do you just carry on holding, waiting for, you know, life as a boxer? And ultimately, I took the latter. And,
but in hindsight, does that not sound obvious, given what Jake had just said about that you needed control? You needed to control your own destiny, and the Marines would in many ways have taken that control away from you.
It would have taken it away, but I think going through your teenage years and adolescent years and fucking hormones are all over the place and stuff like that, and I think it was just because everything had just been taken away from me. I maybe comfortable because I had my boxing and just school and it's just what you did. All of a sudden, you're thrown into a big wide world. Then, you know, you've like careers officers want the best at our school. You know what I mean? They want us to. They just want us to get paid and get out of there. You know, I want the best of schools when I was there, and all of a sudden, you know, 16. If you're not doing anything, what you're going to be doing, you're going to go sign on. And like I said to you earlier, I didn't want to just become another product of the estate. I was like, I'm going to go get my gyro. You know, I wanted to make sure I could do something. And it seemed that with Marines, I could just step straight into that. Yeah, I could just step straight into that and start making a difference there. All right, it wouldn't be uniquely about me, but I'd have a focus and I'd be onto something straight away rather than just bumming about. Mm-hmm. And in end, obviously my old fella had talked me out of it. I just fell into sixth form, started studying sports and psychology. I did a few months there, but I was just losing touch. Don't get me wrong, my first couple of assignments were bang on in both fields, but I just lost the drive for studying it, what I wanted to do. I just wanted to be in the gym and that was it. But at the same time, you know, I've got a few brothers. My mum and dad have split up. You know, my dad's going out to work, all I was in his taxi. You know, he's trying his best to provide for us. I don't want to be relying on him. Dad can't tapping him up for a tenner. So I find myself getting a job as an assistant in as a dental technician in a lab. Now, for those who are listening who don't know what a dental technician is, you're not the one who holds a sucker or all like that alongside the dentist. You're in the laboratory making crowns, veneers, gum shields, whitening trays, things like that. So if you go out on a weekend and you fall over pissed up and you lose a tooth, you go to your dentist, he'll take an impression, they'll send it to a lab, they'll make a model, and then they'll make a tooth off that and then send it back to the dentist, and there you go, you got a lovely smile again. And that's what I did, and I don't know how I fell into the job. It would have just been the case of my old fella had knew someone at the lab, said, oh, can I just come up and just clean about, just do something, it just needs a focus. And that was it. Started working as that. And next minute I've taken to it. And my gaffer turns around and says to me, listen, you're not half bad at this. He said, but if you want to carry on working and progress further into the company, you're going to have to qualify into it. So I ended up doing 4 years at Leeds University alongside.
See, now this fascinates me because boxing doesn't necessarily lend itself to stories like this. Like you casually said about your 11 GCSEs that you got, and now you're signing up for 4 years at university. And yet I think the best fighters are the thinking fighters, like we said in the introduction. You think of someone like Lomachenko that sort of does an awful lot in terms of working on the brain as much as he does on his physical attributes. And I'm interested in that aspect of your development, that you obviously nurtured that intellect, that ability to keep thinking. How much do you think that helped you as a fighter?
Taking from the early days of thinking and bringing that into the ring, is that what you're asking? Yeah, just massively. It's helped me throughout my pro career in every single field. You know, it's taken me throughout the levels to get to the level where I'm at now. I mean, turning pro. As a young amateur, I had aspirations to be to box for England. You know, I only wanted to have an England vest. When you're seeing lads pull up to shows and they had an England vest on, you thought they're decent then, and that's all I wanted. I won the championships as a 15-year-old lad, and I never got called for England. And I just thought that, you know, my style didn't fit the England squad. You know, faces didn't fit. And I kind of like, right, you know, I'm just doing this for myself. You know, I wanted to be best as possible. But by 16, I had aspirations of turning pro. But then it's always been small goals for me. You know, when you see a lot of young lads, not just in boxing, just in sport and everything, they want everything fucking yesterday. You know, they want to have instant success. Nobody wants to have the long slog. But that wasn't my mentality at the time. It was just a case of, right, let's just see how we go here. Let's just see how we go. You know, I'm Josh Ronan from Leeds. I'm 18-year-old. I've got a bit of amateur experience. You know, not got a big fan base or like that. I work as a dental technician, but I just want to see how far I can go. Set myself a few goals, win a British title. If I could, anything for a bonus after that would be get an house deposit. You know, put a car on the drive. You know, I'm working as an apprentice dental technician. You know, I'm on an all right wage for my age, but I want more. So
at this point, this has moved on from just enjoying boxing, hasn't it? This has now become a serious goal setting and then goal achieving for you.
Well, already I'm looking back. I'm 18, but I'm looking back and thinking, well, I've missed all them house parties. You know, 15, 16. Well, when we're all celebrating, when we all got our GCSEs, I missed all them times. You know, I've got to make this count for something now. All my pals are going off to be in college, university. Some of them are walking into apprenticeships and they're pulling in a few grand a month. And I'm looking at them thinking, wow. And I'm seeing some of my pals being able to go and afford brand new, you know, cars and stuff like that. You know, still living at home with their mum and dad, but they're driving around in a brand new Corsa. Oh, the hell. I'm thinking, I've got to make something of myself here. I don't just want to be, like, moved on. I'm not saying I'm in competition with people in life, but I strive to be better. And you kind of, even though you're not competing against them, you look at your pals as or I did anyway, as a bar to where to be at, and you want to be above that bar. You know, I want to be out of all my pals. I want to be there with them or above them. Do you know, not being arrogant or cocky, but just all pulling each other up, because I thought, I used to think to myself, if I'm doing well, then they might look at that and think, well, Josh is doing well, and we keep on climbing and going up. Like me and my pals used to talk about, you know, growing up in a council estate, we used to talk about, when we win fucking lottery, we'll both have a Lamborghini, when we're both playing football. Bloody hell, I couldn't get in most Sunday league teams, so I thought the dream of being a fucking fancy footballer was out the window. But, you know, like the same Paul talked about, he went off to the Marines, so like for him to do that and go on, and all of a sudden, wow, he's representing country, he's going to go get his green berets, this, that and other, and I'm thinking, that's something to be proud of, that's something to put down on your life CV already. So all of a sudden, I've got my little career there with boxing, and yeah, there's other little things what are motivating now. It's not just a case of for myself. You know, I've met Natasha, my now wife. She's got a career as in hospitality in Sheffield. She's working for Raymond Blanc's restaurant and the chain of them all over Leeds. She's in her field. I've met her, and I'm saying to her, listen, if you're going to be with me, it's going to be an hard life. I said, we're not going to be able to go off to parties week in, week out. We are going to be able to go out for meals, or we're going to have to sacrifice a lot of things, but if you stick by me, it'll be worth it, and let's just see how far we can go.
About sacrifice, what happened to those relationships with the friends of yours that didn't come on the journey with you, who weren't able to be part of this pursuit of lifting each other up and self-improvement?
It was just one of them. Josh does his boxing.
You have to let people go, though, from your life.
Yeah, 100%, and you become selfish. You become very selfish. You don't see nobody. But then, boxing's a weird sport, because then ultimately you turn around and you need them, because when you're fighting on shows, and Damien will know this from his dad, that when you fight on shows, you need to sell tickets for you to get paid. If you don't sell tickets, then you're not getting your wage of the night. It sounds bizarre, but it's how the sport's running at an early stage now. I didn't come off the Olympics, so I didn't have funding. I didn't have a sponsor. So, I was working as a dental technician 9 to 5, and I needed to sell tickets. You sell tickets to pay for your opponent. You're well down the line. No one's really asked about you unless unless you're a real big name and a prospect, or you've got loads of people around you. Or you just come off of like Olympics. So that was it. Why are you gonna get to go on that Sky TV show if you're not bringing anything to the table?
Yep.
You sell a few tickets where you can put a bit of money into the pot. Then we'll have you on show. You'll have you on show. So as a fighter going forward, I want to be on part of them big shows.
You always had these goals, and that's what I think is really fascinating, is that you are a goal setter and then a goal achiever. And most people would sit here and go, I'd love to be a world champion at something. I'd love to have a Ferrari. I'd love to have a big house. Or I'd love to have a private jet. But then don't do anything to go and achieve those things. They forever remain just an ambition. But you clearly went and targeted those things. So I guess that comes down to self-belief, and I really want to touch on this subject with you now, how important it was for you to always believe that this would happen.
Yeah, didn't always believe it was going to happen, because you have setbacks. You have setbacks in life, and they come by. I mean, like you say there, everybody, certainly in this day and age, in this millennial age, they want instant success, instant gratitude. Fucking give me a pat on the back, look what I've just done. Well, I was working like at the bottom of the chain as a dental technician. Some of my pals at work used to call me a process worker. So you'll fucking be a process worker. Now, when we talk about inspirations from outside, obviously I had my internal goals. I wanted to be proud of myself. I wanted to make my family proud. I wanted to make my dad proud. I wanted to have the finer things in life, because I put everything into 100% everything to what I did. I remember one of the lads in work, we were having a bit of banter one day, and he said, listen, Josh, he says, that's all you're going to be in life, right, is a fucking process work. You're not going to do anything. And I remember turning around to him at times and said, listen, when I get to your age, I think you're around 27, listen, I'll have done this, I'll have achieved more than you've ever dreamed of in my life, and I'll have got this, and this. And I didn't always put it down to material position, but, I was just letting him know where I was at.
You believed it, though, that's the key thing.
I believed it because I was willing to put the time effort in, and seeing that other people, even young lads who had scholarships with Leeds United or had promising bits of talent, and then pissed up wall, getting distracted by, girlfriends, bad friends, drink, whatever it is, at a young age. And I didn't want to, like I say, fall into that. So I had my little goals there. And listen, there were times I'd come out of the gym with a black eye, a bush lip, a fat nose, and you think, I'm never going to achieve that goal. But then it was something, again, what I've learned from a young age in the boxing. I didn't want to I'd come away from that and I'd want to do better in the next session. Can't just be happy with that, can't go home because I'd dwell on it, I'd sulk on it. As a kid, I remember getting chinned in gym, crying as I'm moving around ring. I'm getting beat up by this lad a few years older than me. He's popping my nose, I'd get out ring. My dad was like, he used to be honest with me, he used to say, fucking shite that lad, I'm being carried on way home, shite that, shite. For 2 days, I'm thinking, my pal say, you coming out to play, Josh? I'm like, no, I'm not shite. I've been in my bedroom, shadow boxing, fucking obsessed. I didn't want to go to, you're going to learn hard in boxing, mate. You're getting punched at face. I didn't want to go back to the gym on that following session and have another beating and get embarrassed in front of everyone else. So I've gone to my bedroom and I'm bloody shadow boxing. I'm picturing what's going to happen in this next sparring session. It doesn't mean shit, it's a sparring session, but for me, it's personal pride. So I'm going back in that next session and I make him cry. All of a sudden, I felt a massive relief what have I done different there? Well, I've put a little bit more time into myself. I've had a little bit more belief in myself. Confidence has gone up a little bit more. And that seemed to happen throughout my amateur days. You know, it got to a stage at one point while walking the shows, I didn't have an ounce of nerve into me. And then I tried to roll that over into the pro career. But then I'm at the bottom of the pond again now. So I've got to, you know, get to the top. But you come away thinking, oh, you're watching them boys on the telly who are fighting in 12 rounds fights in front of them thousands of people. How do you do that? How do you do that without getting nervous? How do you do that without getting tired? 12 rounds is a blistering pace. I can only manage to do 4 rounds. But you've got to make it happen. And I used to just take every little step in my career, one bit at a time. You know, taking the fights. Some of the times we'd have short notice fights. I mean, maybe one good thing of having my manager with me, Steve, and my dad, they didn't want me to be fed the easy fights. You know, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it this way, we're going to do it the proper way. I had a proper apprenticeship. So in there with testing fights at a young age, fights that had pushed me and I'd learned a lot through. I come out, what could I have done better? I've always been obsessed with wanting to better myself. Even though I've boxed in A-class performances, there's been times when I've come away thinking, that was shite, that.
See, but I think that makes you exceptional because you're saying it as if it was natural to you. But in my experience, I think that what you often see with, say, some young fighters or some of the young athletes that we've met here is that when they get beat, whether it's in the gym in sparring or in a real life fight, they quickly look to point the finger at who can they blame, whether it's a coach or the manager for overmatching them or the promoter for not giving them the right opponent. And yet what you're describing is a theme that we come over time and time again on the podcast, which is responsibility, absolute responsibility and looking at yourself before you point the finger at anyone else.
Yeah, and I think I realised that a fair few times. My dad would constantly give me a reminder of that. He'd come away from a sparring session, might have just had a bad night in the gym. You know, any factors could have been that I might have slept bad the night before, but there was no excuse. And we're driving home we've just travelled over to Manchester to spar some kids in there. Just drove over to Liverpool, got work in the morning. He's got work in the morning. Fucking shite, that lad. You weren't doing the thing I told you to, why not? I don't know, Dad. Well, you better fucking find a reason. You better find that reason, because when you come to 3 weeks' time and you're fighting and you've sold all them tickets to your pals to come and watch, if you don't fucking find the reason there, then you're going to get found out. And that was my mentality again. What the hell? You know, when you walk into the ring, you can't complain about, oh, I wish I'd have done this, I wish I'd done that. That's it, now it's happening. You know, you're going to find yourself, you're going to get found out there. Even when at the early stages, like I say, we're having some testing fights at a young age. I wasn't just having like knowledge to blast out and make my record look good. I was having testing fights. Some of these fighters were coming for the win. Some of them were novices themselves and they were after the win. So it was a case of, if I don't do anything about it, I ain't got no one else to rely on it. My dad can say whatever he wants in the corner. He can say pick it up. If I ain't got the engine to do so, if I ain't got the fitness to be able to pick it up, then I'm not going to be able to pick it up. So who's that down to?
And I'm not surprised you have this mindset, because we've already spoken about the fact that you love boxing because you were able to be responsible for your own success. And I think that when we look at blame or we look at fault and things like that, we have almost a comfy relationship with blame, I think, a lot of people. And actually, if you look at it in a totally different way, if you look at it as giving up control, which is what it is, as soon as you start blaming your bed for not sleeping well, or blaming the driver that drove you to the thing, getting caught in traffic, or blaming the food that someone else cooked for you that you didn't like, so you didn't eat it, so you didn't have the energy, all you're doing is giving up responsibility, giving up control. If we can try and live in a world where we take ultimate control for things that are our responsibility and things that aren't our responsibility, then it gives us the opportunity to be more successful. I wonder whether that's something that you noticed from quite a young age.
100%, yeah. Whatever it starts with you. It has to start with you. It's your life. You know, it's
what are you like then now with people who look for fault and look for blame and blame other people? Are you quick to explain to them the way the world works?
In obviously listening to the stories and the circumstances, then take a decision from there. People can make rash decisions, and you think, why did you do that? But then you see, I always try to look at out of other people's shoes and seeing from their scenarios. So somebody might make a rash decision, and or they make a stupid decision of life, and you know it's a stupid decision. They know it's a stupid decision. Why did they do it? Well, we're humans. You know, you have human error, but then there could be other factors what influence that. If someone's just lost a job, and then they've been having a hard time off the partners.
Still their responsibility, though.
It is still their responsibility, but I guess sometimes they need to come through them hardships and the hard times to become stronger inside mentally. And I feel like I had mine as a young age, as a young boxer. That's where I was able to get my hardship and toughened mentality. Listen, when you lose a fight as a kid, I mean, it's not the most important things, but as a 14, 15-year-old lad, fucking hell, you cry your eyes out for days. You know, you've just been embarrassed. You're going to school the next day when reputation's everything. You're telling all your pals you've just been beat. It's embarrassing, you know, and how do you get over that? You know, well, you become stronger, you try to be, you know, more confident and that. Then other little factors in my household, my mum, I used to go home from school as a 14, 15-year-old lad, mum and dad would be screaming house down. You know, I didn't want to walk into that environment. To everyone else, to my pals, oh yeah, Josh has got a nice mum and dad, blah, 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 to the inside factor, it was a fucking war zone. Didn't want to go home. But what do? Do you sit and cry about, oh, my mum and dad are splitting up? Well, it's life, it happens. And it just fucking toughens you up. So by the time I got to 18, having already sacrificed time, already been through these bits of hardship of personal life and fucking my sport life, I'd already, like, you know, I'd been experienced. Obviously, I'm a lot more experienced now than I will be in 10 years' time and 10 years after that. But from where I was at, I'd like quite a bit of experience to other lads my age. And sometimes people's lives just don't go about that. You know, if you just had a steady life where you've been to school and then you've left school and you've gone to college and you've gone to uni, and you've not really come up to you know, much challenges, and the most challenges that you've had of like, oh, which fucking pair of trainers do I buy, or can I go to that gig this weekend or not? Well, that's not really life lessons, life challenges. You're not going to learn too much from that. Bam! All of a sudden, fucking landlord's asking for his rent and you can't afford it because you've just been sacked from your job. That's a life lesson.
Oh, and also, by the time you get to that stage, you can't cope with it because you haven't learned resilience. You've not been taught it from a young age.
Exactly. And
well, there's an old saying in boxing, isn't there, Josh, that like you find out somebody's character when they've been put on the backside.
Yeah.
So, you know, anyone can knock over, like you say, novices or fighters that have been brought in for you to do that and look good against. The real test of your character is how you weather the storm when those difficult moments happen. And I'm interested in terms of, you made a comment before about having to learn to manage your nerves so that you're obviously an intelligent lad and you can bring that thinking mindset into your fights. How did you go through that process of learning to control those nerves to be able to be ice cold in your execution?
Trying to jog my memory back from a kid. You know, you take bits of confidence from having victories in the ring. You take bits of confidence when you're sparring and you're working alongside people who are better than you as a younger lad. So my dad never wanted me to just go in and spar with lads my own size and weight, beat them up and then, yeah, give me a pat on back. You know, I'd always find reason or room to criticise, and I always wanted to make sure, I wanted praise off my dad. I wanted him to say, fucking well done that lad. But he always wanted to push me as well. So I'm not sparring lads my own weight, I'm sparring lads that are heavier than me, more experienced than me, and I'm having hard nights. But then when it comes to the fight, that's where he's a bit of mastermind as a, you know, fucking psychologist as my dad and as a trainer worked. He used to say to me walking to the ring, he said, this lad's not been mixed in the same company as what you've mixed in. Right. You've been mixing with pros, you've been sparring with lads who are national champions. What has this lad done? He's not even got to our level. And you're thinking, he ain't been at the same level, he ain't put the same kind of work in. I've been coming on from school, I've been coming on from work and going straight to the gym. I've been doing that before going to, he ain't been to where I've been. And all of a sudden you start adding that and then you get win, then another win, and another win, and that keeps on building and keeps on building.
So now when you're fighting at Ellen Road and you've got thousands of people there for you, you know, that a fight's never won on that ring walk, but it can be lost. What are you doing at those moments now? So that was what you're doing as a young amateur. What are you doing now to control your nerves and give you that confidence that you're going to go in there and the world is going to see the best version of Josh Warrington?
Well, it's chopped and changed over years, because even being a pro is... I'm skipping a question a bit there, but let me just give you a little jog back a little bit, because, setting myself little goals. My career has been not a usual career for a world champion. You look at the other world champions, they've all come off a GB squad and stuff like that. Mine's a bit of a unique story, because I've come from the very bottom all the way around, just a fucking working class lad who working as a dental technician whilst he was still the European champion. I'm headlining on Sky Sports, and the next minute I'm back at work on Tuesday, and driver from DPD's coming in saying, "I fucking seen you on telly on weekend. What are you doing here?" I say, "It's my day job, mate. It's my day job." Wow. My thing from as I'm going through the career, we're like, wow, you've ticked that box. I've won a British title. I'm getting paid now. Wow, I could go on, and I can maybe fucking pay a mortgage off here. So you find you're more motivated than ever. You're looking at other fellas in workplace, and you're thinking they're having to ask Gaffer to have tomorrow morning off so they can go watch the son in the play. Well, I want a family. I don't want to be around asking gaffers if I can have time off in the morning to go watch my son do a play. I want to be in control of my own life. I don't want to be able to because I want to have kids in the future. That's what you're meant to like at a young age. And you set your own little goals, your little areas where you want to be in. Kept going through there. Confidence builds. You get to the next stage. All of a sudden, bang! You're on world level. Bloody hell, Josh, you were never meant to win a British title. You weren't good enough, you weren't strong enough, you hadn't knocked anybody out, you're not fast enough, you're just a ticket seller. Things what have taken years and years to build up, time that I'll never get back, is all got to that level now. And all of a sudden, you find Ellen Road, you're in front of 20,000 people, 20,000 of you, and you've convinced them all that you're going to win that world title that night, but you're a 4-1 underdog in a 2-horse race. You haven't been beaten in 25 fights, but you're still 4-1. You aren't going to. The boxing will think that you ain't got to pray. You're going to get your head boxed off. You're going to get stopped. You're going to do this. You've got all these outside things pecking at your head. But by this time, for years and years and years, when it got to that stage, I'd practiced many things: visualization, meditation. I was able to centre myself. I was able to block out things. I'd already learned coming through the ladder, coming through the hard way. For instance, in 2015, I'm there working as a dental technician. I've ticked my box of becoming a British champion. All of a sudden, I'm signed with Matchroom. I've got sponsors coming out my backside. I've never had a sponsor prior to that. All of a sudden, people are sending me boxing boots. People are sending me tracksuits. I'm doing interviews with national press. I'm saying to my gaffer, can I just pop out and do 10 minutes with Adrian Dedham on Talk Sport? Yeah, no worries, Josh, you've got to do that, mate. I'm doing national press, and I've only done fucking Yorkshire Evening Post prior to that, like little column in Yorkshire Evening Post. All of a sudden, national press, and it's gone boom. I've gone from having a fair few hundred, and all of a sudden, I've elevated myself. I'm 10,000. I've got Vinnie Jones doing ring walk behind me. He's like, I've seen him in Snatch and Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. He's doing ring walk with me though. Everyone's saying he's the next Ricky Hatton. But that all comes with pressure. And people from the outside, Josh is cool as a cucumber. He's got to this stage without no pressure. He looks blistering, he's up blinding, but I don't realise mentally, I've been on a fucking roller coaster. Prior to that, I've just been given opportunities. Right, you've got a short English title, do you want it? It's away from home. It's in his backyard, do you want it? Yeah, we'll do it. Yeah, you're smiling to everyone. Yeah, I'm confident I'm going to go down. Really and truthfully in change rooms on that night, you're thinking, am I good enough? This is going to be tough. In the fight itself, you're having to push yourself. You have to find little gears where you didn't know you had and push yourself even further. You come through that, you go on to a next level, you're fighting for Commonwealth, you're fighting for British, you're fighting for European. All of a sudden, you're at that pinnacle, and like people are talking about this and other. I'm there in 2014, and I keep on going back here, but I'm just looking for little moments of building blocks where I've learned a lot of lessons mentally. 2014, I've just beat Rendell Munro Now, Rinna Monroe, in boxing world, people will know, you know, British, Commonwealth, European champion, went to Japan, boxed for WBC, massive name in the boxing world, boxing bin man. He used to work as a bin man as well as being a boxer. And I just stopped him in 7th round in Manchester Arena. Barry Hearn comes in, says to me, Josh, you're going to be fighting at the Leeds Arena sometime soon. You're fighting at Leeds Arena. You're going to be fighting for that British title. Now, that was my original goal. I'd made that little goal. I'd never said, I want to be a world champion. I want to be I want to be a multi-millionaire. I just wanted to be, I want to be a British champion, that Lord Lonsdale belt, small little goal. I was about to tick it off at the age of 22. Leeds Arena, I'd seen the Leeds Arena being built. I used to drive home past it. You know, I'd be driving home from work and think, I'd love to fight there one day. Why? Well, I'm proud of where I come from. I'm a Leeds lad, and it was something to, you know, I believe you put on this world, and you've got to fucking make that short time and make memories and do things and that people want to talk about, and for yourself, you don't just want to be another Joe off the estate. So I'd love to fight there one day. I'd love to be able to say I boxed there. You know what I mean? Ticking that box off as well. And it was funny because at the time I was living in my missus' mum and dad's back bedroom, and I had local radio on BBC Radio Leeds, and they're doing a West Yorkshire sports special from there. And the fight was on a Wednesday night, which was somewhat what's not normally done. We're just like, we're going to try it out for this thing. And you know, my missus is my mother-in-law. She said to me that night, "I'll see you when you get home with that British title, or good luck in there, do the business, smash him up and this, that and other." I'm in back bedroom thinking, fighting Marty Lindsay here. I've been watching videos of him knocking guys out with left hooks and they're going to sleep, spinning round. And I'm thinking, everyone thinks it's just a given, but I've still got another man in that opposite corner. Why do people think that you've got this fight, you're just destined to win? It's not like that. I've still got to go in there and do the business. I know the hardship, what I'm going to have to go through tonight. He's a well-experienced opponent. I'm 22, but I've still got a body of a boy. He's a man. He's an experienced fighter, and this is going to be a tough fight. I'm fighting in my own backyard. I'm fighting in Leeds. Fucking hell, if I get chinned here, what an embarrassment I'm going to be. I won't be able to show my face to my pals. They're all going to be like, fucking shit, Josh, I know he'd find his level. He's not good enough to do that. So you're having this battle with yourself, thinking, hell, sat at home sweating, listening to radio. Then Eddie Hearn came on and he said, you know, Josh has got a lot of pressure on his shoulders tonight. You know, this is going to be a tough fight, and, you know, he's going to be on his game. And I'm like, just give me a bit of relief. It was a really tough fight. I won the fight 120, 108, which means I won out all the rounds throughout the fight. But Jesus Christ, I'd been not taking the Lord's name in vain there. I've been on a roller coaster that night, and mentally. But again, it's something I'd learned, so it's experience. Fast forward a fair few years, like I said, the Lee Selby fight's being built up. No one's giving me a cat and nails chance. For what reason, I don't know. Because I'm Leeds, because I've got a big fan base, whatever. Lee Selby's meant to box me head off. My career was all on that fight. It was all on that fight. Josh Warrington loses this fight. Never mind, he's won British, Commonwealth, European, WBC. He's had 5 defences. He loses this fight. That's it. The ticket seller, boop, it's popped. You know, that fucking former dental technician, the way everyone's hyping about him because he's got this big fan base, boop, that's it. Disappeared. Also for myself, like climbing that ladder up there, I just become a new dad as well. It wasn't just fighting for myself. It was like I'm fighting for them too now. I'm fighting for my little girls. I'm keep ticking boxes off. I've got myself an house, but now if I win this fight, bloody hell, I can get into them dreamland paydays where Marcus and Megan, bloody hell, if they ever need to say, Josh, we need somewhere to live, don't you worry about it. Hey, listen, jump in one of that. These are one of my houses. I could go and pay my dad's mortgage off. These are all the motivations, and it all comes from winning these fights. Pressure. I'm putting pressure on my own shoulders. Here. I've got all my pals and Leeds behind me and everything else putting pressure on my shoulders, but like I say, I'd visualised it many times. I'd been sat for years and years thinking when this moment comes, this is how it's going to come out. It got to a stage where I was fucking dreaming about it. I'd focused that much, and I've always been massive on visualisation. You know, that thought process has got to go somewhere. It's energy. I'd meditated over it. I'd learned to handle pressure of the crowd. 2015, like I went off tangent there, but when now we're talking about that scenario with the Vinnie Jones situation, in that I'd become not a superstar, but I'd become a big name overnight. I didn't know how to handle it. I'd knocked out my last 2 opponents, one for European title, one in the takeover in Berlin. I come back and I was expected to blast this guy out. I didn't do it. I was trying far too hard because I was focused on making everyone else happy. I was focused on them sulking away. Oh, how amazing was Josh's performance then. Knocks that guy out. I wasn't even thinking about what I should have been doing, the boxing skill. I got distracted, come away thinking, I can't do that again, because if I fight a tougher opponent, he's going to expose me. So we worked on psychology, working on staying focused for 12 rounds, not letting external distractions coming in. So by the time the world title fight come, I was padded. I'd had plenty of, experience.
Did you feel bulletproof by that point?
100%, mate. Listen, the fight prior to that against Dennis Silan in the Leeds Arena, 21-0 he was. It was a final eliminator. Most nervous I've ever been. My wife was pregnant then. I was thinking, if I lose this fight, I'll be one of them fighters what nearly got to world title stage, nearly got a shot, but just fell at that final hurdle. That's, it seems the UK mentality is one of them where, with what do they fucking call him now, the snow jumper? Eddie the Eagle, Eddie the Eagle mentality. Yeah, we'll pat you on back.
That's what we like. We like people that almost make it.
Just almost say he had a good go, didn't he? As soon as you start getting, it's gone to his head. It's gone to his fucking head. On my way up, pat on the back. Yeah, that Josh from Leeds, good kid him. As soon as I started getting a bit of success and having a bit of airtime, like Josh, wanker.
Build you up to knock you down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he'll get exposed sometime soon. These people I've never met in my life. I've never come across them, and I probably never will do. But they're an expert. Them fucking wanker that one in them. Yeah.
But when you're doing that ring walk, right?
Yeah.
For that huge fight against Lee Selby, and like you've said, everything that you've ever done has come down to that moment, and you knew that was make or break for everything you'd ever achieved and everything you will go on to ever achieve.
Yeah.
All of the struggles and all the difficult things leading up to that point, from living on the estate and being different to everyone else, having siblings with mental health problems, from scrapping and fighting and getting punched on the nose when you were a kid, all of that discomfort, all of those moments where you might have failed along the way, that gave you the bulletproof moment when you walked out on the ring.
Definitely.
So is the message for people listening to this who want to achieve more from life but always shy away from discomfort, is that perhaps seeking the discomfort is where the growth lies?
Yes. You have to take yourself out of the comfort zone. You have to take yourself out of the comfort zone, because growth is not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen. In a sport terms, if you're not gonna get big biceps if you don't pick up the weights and put yourself through that pain. People in this day and age are scared of failure. They're scared of setback. They're scared of being told no. They're scared of people making them go through obstacles to get there. They don't want that. They want it to be handed on a plate. Like I say, the most honest lesson that you can get, in my scenario, is being punched in the face. If you are willing to do things properly, then you're going to get exposed. Not only are you going to get exposed, it's going to hurt. You're going to have a black eye, you're going to have a bust nose, you're going to be winded, and you can't get any more honest than that. Don't get me wrong. As a time as being a dental technician, I didn't want to fail at that either. And there were times when I was saying to my gaffer, I'll come in late, and he's saying, Josh, this ain't good enough. This ain't good enough. You're working for me. I employ 8 other guys, 8 other people at the lab. He said, you're turning in whenever you want. I said, Phil, I'm really sorry. I know I've got my boxing. He said, I know you've got boxing, but I've got a business to run here. And how does it look to... So my way of getting around that was, we're flexible with the job. I'd go in later, but I'd stay later. So if I didn't get in 10 o'clock, because I'd finished sparring the night before in gym at 9:30, not got home and had my tea and got into bed until 12 at night, I'm knackered that next day. Then I get him to work at 10. Then I have to put the hours in, and I don't finish at 5. I don't do 9 to 5. I do 10 while 6. Give him that hour back. Sometimes I'll give him an extra half hour, because I've got to show initiative. I've got to say thank you because I've been given this opportunity. Some other people might not be as lucky to be able to have flexible hours like that. So I'd put it in. And after fights, when I want in camp, then if he wants to make it work a 12-hour day, then I'm working a 12-hour day, because you've got to realise that you show initiative, it gets you a lot further in life than just tossing it off and getting through the day as quick as possible. I just didn't think that would get you anywhere quicker, trying to shortcut.
Yep.
And all them, like I say, I'm going off a bit there, Jake, but all them bits setbacks, putting yourself out your own comfort zone, they pay dividend. On your birthday, my 21st birthday, I spent it in with British champion Carl Johansson. Most people, what are you doing for your 21st birthday? Oh, I'm going to have a massive party. All my family and friends are going to be there. Going to have a right good do. Yeah, we're going to go out for a nice meal. What did I do? I spent my 21st birthday with a British champion who knocked the likes out of Michael Gomez, who Damien knows very well, in a 12-foot ring, getting bashed up by him. Why did I do that? Well, because I wanted to be great. I wanted to be better.
What does the Marines say? Everybody wants to go to heaven. Nobody's prepared to die. We all want the good, but we're not willing to put up with the bad.
Exactly, and I've seen it and I've read it many times over the years. Always trying to better myself as an athlete, as a sports person, as a person in general. Reading scripts from sports stars, business stars. Everyone's got to succeed if you want to be there. If you want to have something, if you want to have the finer things in life, or if you want to have that little bit more freedom or a little bit more time, then you're going to have to sacrifice a lot of things. You're never going to be given it just there on a plate. You have to make that time. Unless Jeff Bezos is your dad, then
But even then though, that's not the answer, because you've done really well, right? You'll have a lot of money in the bank. Your job now is to build resilience into your kids. That's your next challenge.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're right. You are right, to be honest with you, because
any idea how you might do that?
Just not fucking spoil them and try to give them. I'd said I wouldn't want my kids go to. I mean, this is not pointing to any kids who do go to private school, but stick with state schools. My missus did a lot of studying and she's reasons and arguments for why state schools, private schools, whatever. But and I think you have to set challenges. I remember reading about Richard Branson as a young age. His mum and dad used to drop him off. I probably wouldn't do the same now in this day and age, but he used to drop him off miles away from his home and say, find your way home. It's setting them challenges, taking them out of your comfort zone. My dad would say the same to me as a kid. All right, not every kid would be allowed to do it in this, like I say, in this day and age in certain areas where you grew up, but right, I want you to go run to this place and I'll be fucking miles away from home and then get yourself back. But I think you can't mollycoddle, your children.
Have you heard the phrase helicopter parenting? Have you heard this?
Yeah.
Like parents who hover around their kids all the time, ensuring that they never fail at anything. And I think this whole conversation with you has been about the positive that comes out of failing, because that's where the growth lies.
Yeah, it is massively. It is massively. You learn so much through experience, and you can learn a bit through other people's experience. You make sure that you don't do what they've done, but nothing teaches you more so than your own life experiences. People said to me, there's not like having when you have your own kids, time passes and you say you try to realise that as much as possible, but you actually don't realise until you have kids of your own, and these things in different scenarios, walks of life, business sectors, whatever, it's experience, them downfalls, it's how you bounce back from them as well. These rainy days, they do come, but they don't always last forever. And if you're persistent enough, keep chipping away, then eventually you will leave that path behind, you will leave that bad place behind, you will keep climbing the ladder, but you've got to get over them bad days, you've got to get over them tired days. But hell, as a young lad, I can find countless scenarios where I were thinking, I can't do this no more. At one point, I was studying Leeds University. I'm doing anyone who studies at university knows them 3,000 word assignments, especially when it's on fucking teeth and the mandible. It's not the most exciting thing. You go into lectures and you listen to teeth and the structure of a tooth and the root and that. I mean, you could fall asleep just me saying, talking about that. Doing that, working 4 days a week, 9 to 5, sometimes 10 to 6, training every day. and also trying to promote myself as a boxer. So going out selling tickets, going out telling people to follow my journey, going to pubs all around Leeds saying, listen, boxer, do you like boxing? Do you remember watching Nigel Benn, Chris Eubank? Well, listen, that's what I'm trying to do for Leeds now. You know, bring Leeds a bit of glory. There's no football team's not great, but follow my journey, mate, and we'll have some good times along the way. Trying to do that on times when should have been really spending it with pals, should have spending it with Natasha, going to work, knackered, going to gym, knackered, going to university, falling asleep, but thinking to myself, it'll all be worth it, it'll all be worth it, it'll all be worth it in the end. And I remember going to drop some tickets off to one of my pals, and I picked him up, and everyone going to this party on the weekend coming, and I remember saying to him, oh, you must be buzzing for this party. I'm gutted I can't go. I went, oh yeah, you'll be training more, you're getting ready for your fight. He says, yeah, how's it going? I said, yeah, I'm just a bit tired. And he looked and he said, listen, mate, don't fucking worry about this party. He said, same old, isn't it? Same old. I said, yeah, I know, but everyone's going to be there, and I just wish I was going. And I think he just said to me, listen, same old. We've been doing the same thing since we were 18. For 3 years, we've been going to the same places, same people, doing the same thing, getting pissed, having an hangover. He says, it's fucking boring. So let me tell you now, from my point of view, any one of us looks at you and thinks, how does he do it? And we all look at you and think, wow, we could be in our shoes. You know what? I wish I'd have not got into this drinking and carried on with my contract with Yorkshire Hammers as a footballer, because who knows, I could have been somewhere where you are now. Fucking hell, it would have kicked up the arse what I needed just at that moment in time. You know, just one of my pals who normally talks a load of shit and just tells you the worst jokes in the world, all of a sudden he's giving me a lesson in life, but it was enough to give me a massive boost. I'm not missing out on much here. Yeah, it might look glamorous, everyone going out and getting pissed, and like people do it now on the social media. Their Instagram life is absolutely fantastic. As soon as they put that down on the post down, fuck me, I'm bored now. What do I do now? Everyone's not living that perfect life. Everyone is going through some hard times, or some bit of down times, or some quiet periods of their life. So just focus on your own. And from there on, I'm thinking, I'm not missing out on fuck all, and I've got to make this time what I'm doing, this hardship, and make it all worthwhile. I don't want to turn around in 3 years' time and I've just been chinned and my career's more or less done. I want to make sure I've turned around in 3 years and I'm just going on to the next level. All that hardship that I've come through, will it been worth it? And little things like that, little bits of advice, positive advice. Yeah, that negative by then, you're only going to go so far. Try to fucking blank that out. Don't get me wrong, difficult, but you try to just take the positives and move forward with that.
Wow, what a special message that was from your mate. Like as you're saying it, the hairs on the back of my neck are standing up there.
I think you have to listen. Whether it's like I had advice off Ricky and when I was boxed when I come away from that Dennis Taberon fight, the fight where I told you Vinnie Jones did a ring walk. I went over to him after. I was getting absolutely slated on social media. The pundits, the Sky pundits, slagged me to ground. I didn't know how to handle it, and then I didn't know media training. You know, I couldn't even do any radio interview 2 years ago. I went there, a 5-minute interview on radio. Went there, yeah. I couldn't hardly speak. I was so nervous. 2 years later, I'm pretty decent at them. You know, I used to get into the thing of like, in an hour's time, this radio interview will be finished, and you'll be like, why did you get so worked up about it? It's not really. It's going to be in an hour's time. You'll be back having a cup of tea, thinking, I've done that interview now. Then you listen back, you think, that was shit, that could have been better. So don't get worked up about it, just enjoy it. Just enjoy that moment. After fighting Taberon, I went up to see Rick, because I was getting slagged from pillar to post. People, like I say, I've never met before, absolutely shite, Warrington. And he said to me, why are you getting worked up? Why are you getting worked up by these people? They're not in your life. When Dave Decorator or John Sparky goes home with his life, his pleasure is going onto social media and slagging you off. He says, don't you get worked up by it. Concentrate on your life, because the career where you're going, the path that you're on, in a few years' time when you're going home to your big house and you don't have a mortgage and this, that and other, are you going to be still worried about them then? You know, they probably don't get a fuck off the missus. Do you know what I mean? He said, why are you getting so worked up about it then? you know, it's taking little things in from there like that. Obviously, hearing stuff like that from Rick were a massive
choices in life. You can either do it, or you can stand on the sidelines and criticise people that
exactly. And I think that's what I got to. By the time I'd left university and this and over, it was a case of that. You either just get on with it, crack on with it,
social media not the equivalent of the kids on your council estate? Do you know what I mean? Like the kids that are doing the weed or the you know, drinking on a Friday night or robbing a car. Social media is the equivalent of those kids, isn't it? And
definitely.
At 8 years old, you were making a decision. I'll follow my own path here. So there's something consistent about your decision. Don't worry about some troll on social media making a comment about you.
It's your life. It's your life, and that's it. And again, going back to being a weirdo kid, like fucking looking through, what happens to this world when my lights get switched off at final time? Does we all still exist? Does, you know, it's you find as life goes on, and I'd noticed that by the time I was 15 that some people, you know, you'd see them in the gym and then they'd be off it, and then next minute, oh, have you heard about him? Oh yeah, he's just being looked. He's on tag. He's only 14. He's on bloody tag. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You'd see that people come and go in part of life.
It's not been a bad thing maybe for you to see people make those mistakes.
No, not all, because like I say, I said earlier, and I may sound like contradicting myself here, but obviously your own experience, your own life is the best teacher. But you can take little bits off other people. I've seen fighters who have earned enough money to have paid the mortgage off, you know, have a decent car and drive, and they've spunked it up the wall. You know, they've had so many hangers on. Bloody hell! While they're getting them big paydays, everyone's the pal. Everyone wants the drink bought by them. Everyone wants to be hanging about them because they're the person in. But they're just like last season's pair of trainers. When it all goes peaked on, they forgot about it and it moves on. And I remember thinking that I don't want that. I want to have people around me like that. So I've always kept a small circle. I have thousands of people coming to watch me, but my best of pals are still always a tight circle. In the early days, people used to say to me, "You need to get rid of your dad. You need to get rid of your dad. Not good enough." Sit back. What do you mean? You want to go to the next level? You need to get rid of your dad. He's not experienced enough. I used to think to myself, hold on a minute. I've got ears and I've got eyes. I can see what's going on around me. What he says to his fighter and what my dad says to me as a fighter in instruction, what my dad says makes sense. What he's saying to him, fucking hell, it don't make sense whatsoever. So how do you know who's right for me, who's wrong for me? You know?
Only you do.
Exactly. It's your decision, it's your life. All right, I could have taken that in and had a little think about it, but I had enough experience to know what were right and what were wrong there. Not let outside influence like that affect me.
That's really powerful. I love that. I love the loyalty as well.
Responsibility again.
Yeah, exactly. There's some huge things.
Only responsible for your own actions. Don't be going fucking blaming other people. If you're listening to this and you're working in that dead end job, mate, I've had it earlier in the year with one of my best pals. Earlier in the year, he's kept it's a funny story because even though I've done talks at universities and this and other and awards dinners about being inspiring, this and other. Me and him, we just take piss out of each other because it's been my pal since school. And earlier this year, he said to me, you know what, I've had this or that. I'm like, mate, fuck off. You're always coming up with these ideas. You're not going to change. You're going to start your own business. But you don't do anything about it. No, I've got plans and that. And I said, just sat him down. I said, right, listen, mate, look at it like this. You're not happy with your job now. You keep on talking about wanting to leave. You look like you're not going any further up ladder. You've been there over 8 years now. You're working for somebody else, right? Now, what are you going to do? You've got this idea. You know everything about it. You've got people to back you. Are you going to just sit on there and think of what could have been? Oh, you know what? If I get into this, I might. Or are you actually going to do something about it? If you do something about it, then in 2 years' time, it might not have worked, and you think, you know what, I had a go at it, and it didn't work out, and then you're back in your job until someone else comes along. But if it does work, all of a sudden, you're your own gaffer, You're in control of what you're doing. You're not having to do them overtime shifts on a Saturday and Sunday. You're not having to come home from work at 9 o'clock at night. You can dictate. Obviously, the hours that you're putting in now, you should be getting rewarded from that a lot more with the pay packet, a lot more with growth. You should be seeing your business grow, not of somebody else's business grow, not getting rewarded from that. It went quiet for a few weeks. Next minute, bam, this is my logo, this is my website, bam, bam. 6 months down the line, it's going stronger than ever.
Brilliant.
It's going stronger than ever. So I say, if there's people out there, don't wait till tomorrow. Get it done now, because anything can happen. And now, like as I'm 29 years old. People say, what do you know? You haven't lived. I've seen enough and I listened enough to know that anything can happen. You might be fucking plain sailing and you might be comfortable with that, but just be prepared for that rainy day. Have that fucking umbrella ready. Have a plan B, because a lot of people don't at this day and age.
Thank you so much for your time, for your honesty. I think that, we've done a lot of episodes of this podcast now, and the things that we draw out from our conversation with you, which is taking responsibility, dealing with setbacks, emotional control, believing in yourself, all of those things are conversations that repeat themselves time and time again on this high performance podcast, and you are the absolute epitome of what you can achieve if you take control of your life. And it's amazing to sit here and discuss it with you and reflect with you. And I think, I speak for both Damien and myself when I say that it's clear this story is far from over, and we look forward to seeing what the future holds for you.
Appreciate that, Jake. Top man. Enjoyed it.
Top man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, give us a thumbs up, leave a review, but somehow get involved with the High Performance Podcast and become part of our growing community. Thanks for being part of the adventure.